This ignition system is one of the most important parts of the whole engine. You've got to have good ignition. So I'm going to lay these bolts out as to not lose them, because they are original Maytag, just keeping them all in one area. And it's no need to go penciling nothing in there, because they'll only go one place. You'll find out later. It's not like they'll go 2 or 3 different places. You can't get it wrong. The next thing is to remove the points from the backing plate. Now this is a good set of points. They were loose. Sometimes they'll be stuck down there at the bottom and spray something on there. The little spring right there, don't let that little spring jump away. Observe the points. Them is not good points. They look good and clean and everything, but they do have contamination on them, and I believe they're rounding a little bit. We can save them, but those points are getting wore really, really bad. In the last resort, you can put a new point on there. It's not that hard. Just get it done. And the backing plate and the coil armature, this whole setup right here, now you're going to be doing this exact same thing. So if you think that I'm taking too long, then don't even do it. Don't even strike it out on your own, because you won't have no success of it. Once you commit to a Maytag, you have to get it running. And you see that this pin in the back, and as I bring that up, I'm kind of rotating it a little bit and bring that all the way up out of there. Those 2 screws loose. Okay, and the coil came loose. And what you're looking at right here, that's the 2 mounting bolts. Just put them right over there. You can't get them wrong. What you're looking at right there is a as-found Maytag 2-cylinder coil and armature. It looks in good condition and everything, except, oh, that's really bad right there. I can't say how bad that is, soldering them wires to that. Just don't be doing it. And if you have ever did that, you don't supposed to be doing that. Don't be soldering them wires to that thing right there. So what we've got left is the other part of the points. It's just like a frosting. If I take my thumb there, it kind of wipes away. So, I mean, that looks pretty good, the bottom part do right there. So we're going to look there. And they do have a gasket. And this one right here is not really, well, it's stuck. And it's harder than a rock. This gasket is, I'm not going to say it's not petrified, but it's really close to it. It's really hard. You would not want to use this. So what you do, put a micrometer on it, observe what kind of paper you think it is, because you can pretty well think that's original. And cut yourself a new one exactly like this. If you don't have one, then you have to make something. I've seen them square around, just as a repair, but this is what it looks like. And yes, it's as important as any other part on the engine, is the point I'm making. A part that is quite important. I find that these coils are quite forgiving, but just to test this one, I do have the analog meter set up here on the ohms setting. You probe this spark plug output on this side, and you probe this one, and you should have somewhere, I'm thinking around like 8,000. If you check a whole bunch of them, you'll have like 85 to 10,000, 9,000. 10,000 is I do have one that will go 10, but in the 8,000, 8,500 range is really good. And you can see the meter right there. It's like 80, it's 80, 88, 87, somewhere in that range. This right here is kind of interesting, as this is an aftermarket coil that was sold a few years ago as a replacement for these Maytags, and they made them just a little bit too big. They're really good coils, but I'll show you the comparison. If you probe these 2 lead outs, you will get like 10,500. It must have a really good winding in there. This should be a really hot coil. I'm going to build this backing plate, and we'll do the test on it and compare it to the original one on the engine. So we will get to see this one in comparison. To test this coil with the digital meter, it's the same principle. You just clip on to this wire and clip on to this one. And as you can see, it's like 82, 70, 82 in 8200 range. So this should be a good coil. The problem is removing this solder glob right here. And I'm just going to use the side cutters gently and try to nibble away with that. Maybe even use a razor blade or X-Acto knife and work away and save that little ear right there. So I'm going to get that done. I have been working on this little eyelet right here. That little bitty eyelet. That's been the project for the last 5 or 10 minutes. The only thing I used on that was a hardback razor blade. This is a needle file, and once I did get the hole open, I ran that in there, kind of dressed it up a little bit right there. I was fortunate that this one right here is really tight in there. This is the way it should look once you're finished with it. That's the way it came from the factory. Now, I still have to deal with this one over here. And the reason I'm not doing this on camera is this right here. It's you need to have patience when you start whittling that solder off of there. Keeping that in mind, you know that little thing's in there somewhere or another. So taking the side clips, just try to, if I didn't know where that was at now, and believe me, I have broke some of these in the past. So just be, if you break one of these right here, it's according to how good the man was with the repairman. It's according to how good he was with the, and you just kind of sneak up on that thing. It's in there somewhere or another. As a matter of fact, this solder is kind of falling off of this one in my favor. And I am kind of being cautious. And I do know about where it's at. Don't get over jealous. Don't well, pay attention to what you're doing too. Now I'm gonna get the blade. I'm gonna get the blade on that right there now.